He told him more things than he'd ever told anyone else before. But this woman was a stranger, an intruder. She hadn't even bothered to confide her gender to him. Oh, the thoughts he'd entertained must have verged so far from hers. He sought to calm his breath, but his hands fumbled on the doorknob. The woman, this stranger, wavered beside him, even though she'd entered his room many times before. But then he also tended not to fumble when confronted with a doorknob. Finally it swung open, and he pulled this counterfeit Thornton into the room. He slammed the door shut, not caring if he woke the whole ship. The door was closed, he was the captain, and no one would think it unusual for the scientist to enter the room. He blinked at the familiar furniture. The paintings were still fastened to the wall, incognizant that everything had shifted. Mr. Thornton did not exist. Mr. Thornton was a woman. Rupert scrutinized her. He bloody well better find out what to call her.
"Tell me your name."
Her cheeks pinkened. "That might not be wise."
"None of this is wise,"
he said impatiently. I'm Louisa," she said. "Louisa Carmichael." Louisa. He tested the name in his mind and then rolled it softly over his lips. It was a good American name, respectable. Not the name of a person destined to stride onto ships wearing breeches. He turned to her, conscious his nostrils were flaring, conscious he might even be shaking, conscious the British reserve he prided himself in seemed entirely non-existent. He inhaled and gestured to the sofa.
"Sit."
Louisa widened her eyes and settled hastily down. He sat in the armchair opposite her.
"Tell me exactly what you are doing here."
"Research," she said. She didn't lower her voice this time, and he blinked. He needed to grow accustomed to the higher pitch.
"You ran away to the West Indies to conduct research."
He felt like a fool for repeating her words. "I suppose it must sound insane."
"You suppose correctly,"
he growled.
"I take it you delivered the diving helmet to the ship."
"It was my diving helmet, and there truly was a Mr. Thornton, but he backed out."
"So you thought disguising yourself was the acceptable option?"
She flushed but nodded.
"You've always struck me as a person of particular intelligence. How could you risk your reputation? Your family must be so worried. How could you risk your family's reputation?"
She was silent. "My family's reputation is secure."
"No one's reputation is secure."
He thought of his father and the man's misdeeds and grimaced.
"Why, you would have to be related to a duke."
She gave an awkward laugh and directed her gaze toward her lap and her fiddling fingers. Something in her flushed face made his stomach clench.
"You're not related to a duke. Your relatives, your well-off English relatives, they couldn't be."
She touched her tightly pulled back hair. "Surely it's not important."
"Of course it's important."
"Well..." She moved her hands to her lap and fiddled with her fingers. "The truth is..." She paused, and he took an absurd pleasure in the fact that this conversation was difficult for her as well. "The truth is that technically my brother, Percival, is a duke."
"What on earth does technically have to do with the very highest of peers?"
Her cheeks pinkened. "It simply means that people address him as Your Grace."
"Good God."
She shrugged. "Accidental, really. Our cousin happened to die, and Percival inherited. Mama packed me off to England to find a husband." Her look became more unsettled.
"And you found one?"
"Indeed," she said primly.
"And then abandoned all your duties to flee to the West Indies?"
She sighed. "I didn't intend to go. I dreamed of going, but I never expected to be able to go."
"No one was forcing you."
"My research was on this ship. When Mr. Thornton turned out to have misrepresented himself, I decided to take his place."
"You risked your life."
"This was more important." She untied her hair from that ridiculously harsh queue, and her locks tumbled downward in a decidedly feminine fashion. How had he ever imagined her to be a man before? His fingers itched to brush against the contours of her face.